Josh. So what is really the difference? Is there a difference between like a spiritual psychosis and a true spiritual awakening? What does psychosis mean? Like, what is that? You know, we got to be careful because drugs, plant medicines, if you do too much, that combined, if there's still like unresolved trauma and issues in ourselves, when we take when we take some of that powerful chemistry, it can induce a psychosis, meaning it wasn't a gradual kind of balanced coming into the scene or awakening. It was rushed, you know, and that's why I don't like so much these more like, I don't like so-called medicines that come on real fast, like this 5-MAO, you know, the DMT, the frog, or smoking DMT or anything like that. It's too strong. The nervous system, it spasms the nervous system really bad. And if you already have a sensitive nervous system, or if you have, like I said, unresolved trauma or energies that are suppressed, if they come up too fast, and you're opening all these channels that maybe shouldn't be open yet, all that combined, you can lose yourself. You see, it's something called Toei in the Amazon. I wanted to try it. That was back in the day. I wanted to try all these medicines. And this was notorious for people, like, you take that and then people can go crazy and they run around outside with no clothes and just do all kinds of weird stuff. So I went and bought some powder and I did it alone in my room at night. And man, that was the only time that it was dangerous on some level. Why? Because I lost the witness. I was totally one in not a good way with this experience with the medicine. It like took me over. There was no awareness of what was happening. See, usually if you're doing a medicine, you don't want to lose your witness. You want to be aware of how the medicine's affecting you and working through you. The awareness is untouched by the medicine. It affects the body, mind, and the nervous system. If you lose that witness, you're subject to anything. And see, fortunately, I'd already done a lot of work in myself and a lot of fasting and purifying and all that stuff, spiritual practice. So I didn't have a lot of that darkness or shadow work. So I was cool, but it's like I was talking to beings that weren't there. I mean, they were there, but I was in the astral dimension. I was in another dimension, and I didn't know that. See, it's cool if you know it. You're like, whoa, I'm in another dimension, all right. I didn't know it. And then I was seeing weird stuff, like this ghost was lying on my bed, and I saw the prana coming out of her mouth. She looked like 400 years old. Now, if I had some unresolved issues, I could have tripped out. I could have grabbed a knife and you know, who knows? So that's one example of how we can go into psychosis. An awakening is similar to psychosis in the sense that channels are opening. That's what psychosis, the people that are experiencing that, the channels are opening that are normally shut, but they've opened too fast. The vehicle isn't prepared yet for these channels to open. And so there's this imbalance which has negative consequences. Those channels aren't meant to be open all the time anyway. Even in, you know, people have these projections and ideas about what awakening looks like. Oh, everything's one. I see myself as the tree and the sky and the moon and everything at the same time, and I'm feeling what the bugs are feeling right now. You know, it's just not like that. It's just not like that. And at the same time, disclaimer, I'm not proclaiming I'm awake. I don't use those words because, I mean, I'm using them though, right? I'm talking because we got to use language. I'm pointing to experiencing the highest version of yourself. This is what I'm doing. But I'm not wearing any kind of badge that says awake. So I use these words just to point to something. You know, when we're in the highest version of ourselves, something's balanced. It's just more balanced. Even if the body or the mind or emotions is imbalanced, it's happening in a balancedness. You're aware of the balancedness. There's space for the imbalance to happen also. Like I said before, there's never going to be perfect equanimity. You disappear. You dematerialize right on the spot. There's going to be some imbalances. And you're cool, okay. Don't have this judging criteria, you know, of trying to measure yourself, like how awake am I? That's mine. Don't do that. Back to psychosis. Now there's some people, they don't do any of this external chemistry or drugs, and they come into a psychosis. There was a woman that was practicing some just simple exercise of looking into the mirror and staring at herself, and she went into psychosis. But and she ended up getting locked up. The police got her and put her in a mental institution for a little bit because, you see, you're not, again, you lose the witness. You can be in total ecstasy, feeling great, but you lose the broader picture of things. It's like the cops came and she's like, no, I don't want to go in that car. I'm in an elevated state and I want to help other people elevate. And see, if it was more balanced, you'd see the situation. You can discern. You're like, okay, I'm dealing with characters that don't understand this state. I'm not going to get myself in trouble by trying to explain something to them that not only do they not understand, they're going to misinterpret, and I can get punished for it. See, when you're in a more balanced awakened state, you see all that. Psychosis, you don't see that. You lose you don't see you can't see the broader picture, the vastness. You're just locked in to this experience you're having. You're not aware that it's just another experience, and the intensity of it's going to pass or diminish. So, I mean, it has certain similar characteristics because it's like the channels are open, secretions from the gland. This whole awakening or enlightenment experience, it's a chemistry experience. Every feeling or even the states beyond feelings, this deep peace, ecstasy, it's a result of certain chemistry that's being secreted. So psychosis, the people in that, they can feel that, they can experience that. And so it's kind of a fine line, like psychosis or spiritual awakening. And like I said, the main difference is a balanced awakening process. You don't lose your witness. It's just more balanced, you know. Like Alzheimer's, people that have Alzheimer's. Now, you could say some of them, they're in a meditative state. There's no mind. They're talking to you, their family. Oh, hi, good to see you. It's really good to see you. And then you leave for 2 seconds and come back, and they're like, oh, hi, what's your name? You know, they don't hold any, you know, no, they don't hold nothing. Their mind is operating in a very different, empty way. And they're happy. A lot of them are very happy because no mind. They're just totally in the moment. Like totally. Now, is that enlightened? No, not really, because it's not so holistic. They're missing something. Like the full experience hasn't been integrated in all the bodies. The bodies aren't functioning in a harmonious way. There's something missing, you know. So I'd say that's the main difference between psychosis and awakening. Let me know, have you had a psychosis? Or have you had an awakening? Have you identified with your awakening? If you had it, do you claim now that you're awake forever? Has the intensity of the awakening diminished? Of course. and it can increase again, and it can come back down. We don't know. The awareness isn't having an awakening. That's the whole thing. This is who we are. The awakening is for the dream character, That's why I can't take it too serious. It's not my business. Awakening, no awakening. Like, God's running this whole show. When you see things like that, when you realize things like that, something relaxes. You're like, okay, things are chill. You don't have nothing to prove. If somebody was here and they saw me, if I yelled at somebody on the street and they say, hey, you're not awake, I'd say, okay, no problem. Like, I'm not, it's a freedom to not have to give a certain mind projected performance in order to keep a label up, So do that introspection, see where you're at with that. All right, have a good day.